Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fresh episode of My Lesson with Dr. Ariel. That's me, and this is my sidekick, Nyla. She's camera shy. I am coming to you from home today, so my backyard is pretty wooded behind me, but I thought that would be a nicer backdrop than like just a painted wall that I have inside. And it's a good chance to get some vitamin D and some sunshine and fresh air. So, Um, the holidays are quickly approaching. Gosh, Thanksgiving is a week from today, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so I wanted to just talk about what that entails for people. It can be really great things, it can be some not so great things. It's kind of a mixed bag for me most. Um, but yeah, uh, this will be the last episode before Turkey Day. So I would love to hear if anyone has plans that they are either excited about or even dreading. That's definitely worth talking about too. Either one, or any Thanksgiving traditions that you enjoy either alone or with your loved ones. Um, so far, I'm still technically a newlywed. I think it's been a little over a year. Um, so we haven't really had a chance to build that many traditions yet. But so far for Thanksgiving, we tend to um, go see our friends either in Virginia or in Boone, North Carolina, the mountains. And lately we have been getting Christmas trees either the weekend before or like right after Thanksgiving. Live Christmas trees, you get to do the hayride, the whole bit. Cut them down yourself. Not really. You tell the guy with the chainsaw, and he goes and cuts them down. but but yeah, and then you strap it on to the top of your teeny car and you drive it home. How long it takes to decorate always varies too. It's kind of like laundry, like you put it in, but and when the time between when it's dried and when you actually fold it and put it away can be 7 to 10 business days, something like that. So yeah, today I wanted to touch on some strategies for dealing with stressful family situations or friend situations that may arise during the holidays in particular. But obviously, these techniques are helpful for really everyday life too, because oftentimes we are not lucky enough to only see problematic people once per year, right? They can kind of come and go as they please, whether we like it or not. Um, so, after we talk about tactics for tackling triggers, say that 5 times fast. Tactics for tackling triggers. We'll talk about some of the nutritional benefits of holiday foods to build off of our happy foods talk that we did last week. And then we'll wrap up with a brief guided meditation that centers on gratitude. So if you're not someone that, regularly practices gratitude, if you're not really sure how to access some of those feelings, because they can be new for a lot of us, this meditation will kind of help direct your attention inwards in a mindful way that can help promote more gratitude. And one of my favorite quotes relating to this is that it is not joy that makes us grateful, it is gratitude that makes us joyful. I'll read that again. It isn't joy that makes us grateful, it is gratitude that makes us joyful. So I think that's a great perspective to have. The more grateful you are, the more that you're going to feel and experience that, right? So, regardless of how you plan to spend your holiday, um, I wanted to give an invitation to remember that it is still a period of rest and recharge. Like, they don't just give us off work so that we can hustle and travel to every family member's house that we can see. Um, it's not a time either to catch up on all the things that we have been putting off until we had the time to do them, right? It is a holiday. It is meant to be treated as a time of rest, a break, a pause, to step back, relax, recharge, recenter. Um, And yeah, so I just gentle invitation to use at least half the time that you're given away from, even if it's only a day, to really take that mental health break and do something for your own self care. It's not just about the food and the socializing and all the to dos, right? Or the catching up of adulting, because I know that that is very, very tempting, right? You know, you're an adult when your weekends are what when you tackle all the errands that you didn't have time for during the week, right? But yeah, use the time for you. So even if you are lucky and have, you know, a big full house over the holidays, I still invite you to just pause and soak in the memories, enjoy the time with loved ones, but also be completely okay if you want to conk out to sleep at 8 p.m. because you spent all day socializing. That can be a lot if you're introverted or even if you're extroverted, right? It's still just way more than the norm. Um, so replace those feelings of FOMO or fear of missing out with gratitude for peace and solitude as well. Um, I remember during my medical training, I spent most of the holidays alone. It just became the norm. Thanksgiving, Christmas, you name it. We were just working. It was just another ordinary day. Um, so I had to try really hard sometimes to be grateful during those times. Um, and so I was thankful. I decided to be thankful that I had a job, you know, even if I'm working overtime, but you don't really get overtime as a doctor. Um, but anyway, yeah. So most of my holidays I was working in my past life. I would get the occasional like lukewarm invitation to one of those Friendsgiving things, um, which to me was never super appealing because I was like, I don't really know anyone. And it's just, we're all kind of going to avoid being by ourselves. And so just wasn't my thing. Um, and I would also say the holidays became really painful for me personally. Because I lost my mom at 17 and then I didn't really have like a set place to go. I wasn't There were plenty of holidays that I just wasn't invited to my own dad. Whether it was for Thanksgiving, was this extravagant vacation that they went on to like Tahiti or something, you know. And so it was a pretty hurtful just slap in the face because my stepmom is catty and didn't, you know, want to be around me. Um, so I will say I had a game changer. I was prepared to spend, you know, another holiday alone, and then my college roommate Jackie actually invited me to Peru with her lovely family. We spent Christmas and New Year's there, and like from then, they just kind of adopted me, and I knew I wouldn't have to spend a holiday alone. Um, so just remembering that your own family does not have to be your chosen tribe. That doesn't have to be the place that you always return to, especially when it's like deliberately toxic, you know? Um, so family really extends beyond blood, and friends are the family that you choose. So give yourself time to really find that particular tribe. It's not going to always be as easy as, you know, your college roommate banging on your door and saying, you better buy a ticket to Peru with us, right? um, but being open to new people and experiences, even those awkward friendsgivings that I personally didn't want to go to, try it. You might meet some really incredible like-minded people there. Another thing that I wanted to encourage you is maybe be open to reconnecting with people from your past. I have a lot of friends who I may go years without talking to, and then I bump into them and we start hanging out again like old times. I think there are a lot of people that avoid rekindling friendships because there's this like subconscious fear. So much time has gone by and like it's been too long and it's too awkward. Like, I don't know where that magic line is, but I myself do experience that with certain people. I'm like, I have not seen them in 5 years. Like, how am I just going to text them out of the blue and be like, hey, let me give you a little brief, concise summary of what I've been up to and act like nothing happened, right? But the reality is, these people are really glad to hear from you and probably had those same reservations in their mind, those same limiting beliefs, right? So just let it go. Let it go. Reach out to somebody if you've been thinking about them a lot. Odds are they might have even been thinking about you too. just being open to reconnect with people, past, present, and future. Um, because the reality is life happens. We move, change jobs, we get married, we get divorced, we have kids, but that bond, that connection is still there. Um, there are so many people of like my parents' generation that reconnected on Facebook even. Like for them it's not only been a year or two, it's been 20 sometimes. And they're like, "Oh my God, I found my college friends and I'm reconnected with sometimes even some former loves from like high school I've seen." Those are really cute stories. Um, but yeah, just being open to reconnecting and forming those new relationships because you would really surprise yourself. I think at times, at least I've been pleasantly surprised when I reconnect and I get back in touch with somebody who knew me when I was 10 years old. Lydia, I'm looking at you. So rediscover what you love about people who were in your life, who are in your life, who could be in your life, and foster that tribe. So as far as the less, or I should say more less enjoyable parts of the holidays, how do we resist the temptation to engage toxic people, to maybe return to some toxic patterns or beliefs that we had um, over the holidays? Like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll feel like I'm being deliberately triggered by certain family members. Like they've been waiting all year just to twist the dagger a little deeper and like say something that they know will get under my skin that I can't not react to, at least internally. Like I've learned better, you could say, than to retaliate verbally, to instigate a fight, things like that. But it's that stifled silence of hurt that you still carry, because of those comments. And so that's kind of what I'm referring to. But let's be honest, the holidays bring a lot of temptations to fight against, whether it is drinking or overindulging in food or being back with a group of family and friends who maybe bring out more bad impulses than good or are from a really difficult period of your life. Um, I'm really lucky in that through a lot of time and hard work, I've cultivated a very healthy circle of loving people who don't bring up the past. But I think we all probably know certain relatives or friends even that at gatherings, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, do you remember last Thanksgiving when you got like wasted and blah blah blah?" Almost like an effort to bring up this hilarious thing that happened, but deep down to us, if we're the ones who did it, it feels like shaming, right? So there's a lot to kind of resist and grapple with what may come up. Like I've felt anxious about even attending because that might happen, because someone might be like, "Oh, well, you remember where you were in 2018?" And it's like, "Yeah, I do. I didn't need a reminder or a broadcast of the fact that I was having a really hard time in 2018. It's not necessary." But people, they don't always get that, and that's okay. Um, so let's see. We all can have, nitpicky relatives, whether it's somebody who wants to debate anything. Politics are the perfect example, right? Debate anything, whether they're right or wrong, just like ignorantly and aggressively like preaching about things. This happened to me a lot around like 2016 with Trump and all that stiff. And I just remember being like, do I want to connect with these people? Like what? Um, but we all, and then there's the other example of like, okay, well maybe they don't want to talk about geopolitical issues, but they want to come into your home and critique things about it when they're your guest. Um, my brother had this happen a couple years ago with a relative, and he was like, I asked them to stay at a hotel, like tried to set the boundary, they wouldn't let me. So they just like stayed in my house and then proceeded to like nitpick every little thing that was wrong with it, whether it was like dust or the decor or his dog. He's got like a 150-pound cane corso dog. But something like that, like it's just so wild to me that these people who already crossed a boundary to force themselves to stay in your home then go and like critique it, right? And there's a lot of this that goes on. And I just think these energy vampires are people that like save up all their negative energy to see you and then just kind of want to drag you down to their level. um, so the invitation is to resist that, to be better than that, to recognize that that's coming from a place of their own deep-seated insecurity, dissatisfaction with their life, whatever. But my aunt, my mom's sister, always says to me, like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to respond or engage or even think about that person because the best revenge is living a good life. The best revenge is living a good life. So that's kind of what I would do in those instances. Um, Holidays are also typically a time when all of like your hometown friends get together. If you're from a small town like me, there's like a couple of bars, and you know that you and the other high school and the other high school are all going to have your crews there to get together. Like especially now because it's been a few years since I've gone, but I think it's the day before Thanksgiving that is like the wildest holiday because everyone's home and ready to spend, the day Thursday with family. But that Wednesday, they are ready to get buck wild um, and just get trashed and like go relive those college days out. And yeah, so especially this can be difficult, if anyone is in recovery, like with maintaining sobriety. It can also just be triggering to see people from your past. I'm one of the few people I know that like genuinely loved high school and would gladly go back like any day. Um, but the consensus is that high school was not great for most of us. Um, and so that can be triggering to see some of those people. Like maybe they bullied us, or maybe we're ashamed that like we weren't the same person that we are now. We weren't as evolved as we think we are at this stage. And so are they judging you based on, something that you did in high school? Um, and then of course there's always the ever lingering presence of bad influences, right? There's peer pressure to like party like you used to in college, even though I am 32 and I am long past that point in my life. And I just have a lot of different like values and aspirations. Um, so don't let, people that can be toxic try to bring you back to that and like pressure you into any of of those ridiculous behaviors. Um, and then there's also like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like everyone in high school, that's kind of your defining years. You decide what you want to be when you grow up, where you might go to school or where you want to move and travel and the things you want to do. And so going back to that place can be really exciting, but it can also feel like a high school reunion where you have to see the old friends and be like, do I look fat? Like, do they not like me because of that fight we had in high school? Are they judging my clothes? Will they wonder why I'm not drinking? Any of these things. And I am from a small town, so yeah, these things don't help one bit. Um, and then I also wanted to mention, kind of a subset of humans that don't even feel safe in their homes, so they can't even imagine like a holiday, either hosting or attending, right? Because they don't. The concept of home is foreign to them. There is no safe space. And so holidays can be really triggering. I know victims feel very trapped. There's cold weather, there's steep travel prices. It's not really an ideal time to go out and start fresh and get yourself out of a situation. You just kind of buckle down and grin and bear it because you don't have a choice right now. Um, and so yeah, just checking in on your friends who may not be in the healthiest relationship or maybe forced to stay with toxic family members, things like that, and just knowing that, like letting them know that they're loved. Um, and then the final like reason I guess that holidays can be stressful is that they're a dark time, literally and figuratively. For a lot of people, you've got seasonal affective disorder, which is in full swing. We've just had the time change. We don't have a lot of daylight. Um, there is an increased incidence of suicide attempts. So, as I mentioned, just checking on your friends. Drop a line to let them know you're thinking of them. And always, always, always keep a really close eye on your own mental wellness and just listening to your instinctive needs, right? So, some things to manage the stressors. This is the good part. Coming up with a plan. So, my therapist makes me do this anytime I am anticipating a stressful life event, whether it was like sticking to drinking only champagne at my wedding, um, or having a whole day like yoga retreat on Mother's Day where I could honor my mom instead of being sad. In the past, Mother's Day was a chance for me to just like drink away my problems, not think about it, dissociate a bit, and just not feel it. It's hard seeing everybody's posts about their moms and not having mine for such a long time now. Like I came to the realization the other day that I'm approaching the age where I will have lived more of my life without my mother than with her. And that just feels like a punch to the gut, you know? Like losing her at 17. So by the time I'm 34, it'll have been equal amounts of time with and without. Is that math right? Yeah, something like yeah. um, but yeah, coming up with a plan. So instead of wallowing, which is very tempting, and I did for a lot of years, no shame, trying to do something that is the exact opposite, that like turns it on its head. Um, and keeping a routine can be helpful. That's one of my biggest anchoring tools. Just having certain things that I do for myself, like taking baths regularly, like still doing those things, even though I might not be in my own home to have my normal resources. Um, you can practice modern, so it can be to avoid stomach pain or feelings of um, being realistic. Like, don't expect the perfect holiday party. Period. Just lower your expectations just a touch, especially if you're the host. My wedding taught me this lesson because I didn't really get to talk to any one guest for longer than maybe 90 seconds because I was so stressed trying to perfect hostess. And in hindsight, yeah, I could have I could have enjoyed it and been a lot more present. Um, Staying connected with people who value you. So if they're far away, just call them, get a reality check, get some grounding. Um, I have a friend that it's been, gosh, almost a year maybe that we haven't like talked. And partially that's because when we do talk, it's like 4 hours on Skype and it's it is a real commitment. But because it's beautiful and it's deep and it's real and it's raw. And so sometimes I think we each have to be in the perfect place to take the time and also have the intentionality behind that bonding. And so that's someone that I'm going to call this Thanksgiving. Um, and of course, to just ask for support when you need it. Um, you don't have to be alone to be. So whether that is a community friendsgiving, which I've been seeing in Charlotte now the past several days, like leading up to the actual holiday, there's just a lot of different festivities and gatherings. There are some volunteer opportunities. You can work at a soup kitchen. You can work with children in group homes. You can go to the elderly in various facilities and just making that connection with them. It genuinely feels good and mutually beneficial. Also, knowing when to say no. So if you are asked to do more favors than you can manage, or if you receive an invitation that you're not sure about, just remember it's your holiday too, and you don't have to go. Like, no is a complete sentence. You do not have to go to a party you don't want to go to, whether it's you or your spouse. and just be good to yourself. So if you're feeling blue, pamper yourself, do something you enjoy. I myself love to buy like a massage and a facial on Groupon every year for Christmas. It's um, definitely a nice to self-care. And even if I have to work, I will know that I always have that pampering to look forward to. So those are just some tips for kind of coping with the stress. And for the last little bit here, I just wanted to jump on and do a meditation, a guided meditation, um, centered on gratitude. So if you want to just anchor in with me for a second and take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and try to make the exhale longer than the inhale, just by a second. So begin to relax your gaze, maybe even close your eyes if that's comfortable and feels safe, and begin to draw your attention inward. Notice the natural rhythm of your breath. Taking a slow, deep breath, experience the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Our breath is constant and a reliable friend. It tethers us at all times to this now present moment. Just by tuning in to the steady rhythm of your breath, you are immersing yourself in the pure energy of life. The energy that propels you forward and connects you to all other life, glorious planet. Observe whether your mind is in another place or if it's right here, right now. Allow yourself to let go of those thoughts for a moment. Can you allow your mind to be silent except for hearing the sound of your own breath? Notice where you're carrying tension in your body. Do a scan from the tip of your toes to through your feet to your knees, your hips, your back, and your chest, into your fingertips and wrists, and your arms, your neck and your shoulder. The space between the eyes, behind the eyes, can you soften just a little? Can you allow the clenched muscles to let go? And ask yourself, how do I feel in this very moment? Can you sense the peaceful energy of life flowing through you and invigorating you with each individual breath? You are the embodiment of this lively energy. Your body is a miracle and a gift, the vehicle through which you have the pleasure of experiencing this beautiful world. Now shift your attention to take a moment to find one thing or one person to appreciate. Begin to tune in to the sense of gratitude within yourself, and then send it outward to the world around us. In a moment, you'll open your eyes and come out in a state of stillness and peace. But do your best to move forward with your evening with the residual feelings of gratitude that you conjured. As you continue on with your day, I urge you to continue to cultivate gratitude for the little things like the wind, the sun, the trees, the squirrel that's eating all of our birds' food. Perhaps you can even find something positive out of an experience that seems negative at first. Flip the script. So we end this practice by slowly inhaling through the nose and breathing out through the mouth our love and eternal appreciation. So thank you for going on that journey with me. And if you have questions or are curious about Promise Resource Network, um, who we are, what we do, our number at the front desk is 704 390 709. We also have a free confidential warm line that is open 24/7, staffed by amazing peer support specialists who will just lend a listening ear from someone who cares and who gets it. That number is 833 390 7728. And then if you need even more support, we have our peer run respite, which is the program that I'm involved with. And it's basically like the warm line in person. You have round the clock peer supports to talk to. You can stay for up to 7 days. And it's just an amazing retreat that you can go do for yourself if you're experiencing a crisis right now. That number is 704 390 7716. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. I hope you're all well. Load up on vitamin C before those Thanksgiving gatherings in a pandemic. And yeah, just have a wonderful holiday, whether it's all by yourself or with 100 of your closest friends.